Okay, welcome everybody to another live stream repair. Hope you're all having a fantastic Friday, because I am. We've also got 4 HomePods tonight to get fixed up, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right on into it. Starting off with the one from Manuel, or Manuel, or Manuel, or Manual. This one has reported DC offset symptoms, but I was testing it the past few days and didn't notice anything concerning without taking it apart. However, they have opted to go ahead and have us dive in and replace the normal wear components and get it going again for them. Or not, rather, get it going again. It's going just fine right now, but keep it going for many more years to come. So, and if you're not entirely sure what I'm talking about, I've got plenty of info on my website at nixfix.com. Head over to the common issues section, and if you're looking for more info on doing your own HomePod repairs, like the parts or part numbers that we use, tools that we use, and also my contact info or other people around the world also offering HomePod repair services, all that's up on the website. If you find any fixes and any issues that aren't on the website, hit me up and we'll get it up there with your name on it even. Without further ado, let's get started. So as I was saying, this one doesn't have any current noticeable issues. However, there are components inside the HomePod and pretty much every electronic that those ceramic capacitors that naturally decay over time and lose their effectiveness. So, let's see. At some point, every HomePod is going to need its filters replaced as those filters naturally decay. So that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to crack this open. Go ahead and take a look and see how bad they are right now, just out of curiosity, and then we'll get them replaced with new ones. The ones that Apple used generally seem okay. There are some here and there that seem to be failing sooner rather than later. We catch those and replace them. Ones that are working just fine, generally we just leave them alone unless people want to pay to have those replaced. The replacements should last anywhere from at least 5 to 10 years, and that's a conservative estimate. It's hard to know without schematics for the HomePod, at least for the amplifier board. So we don't really know exactly how, or what rather, these caps are going through. So it's hard to estimate their lifespan. That said, we're willing to at least guarantee and give a warranty for 1 year on any of the parts that we do replace. And then as far as those filters, like I said, we expect those to last at least 5 to 10 years. The more common no power issue, that, however, is caused by a bad batch of diodes. And those diodes don't just go bad over time. They either work or they don't, except for that bad batch of them. So when we get a HomePod in with no power, typically, if all it needed was that diode replaced, the new one is going to permanently solve that problem, and it's not like it's going to need to ever come back in again for a new diode. Again, those were just like a bad batch of them floating around that are failing. Not like they weren't the right part for the job. Oh, you know, I forgot to email Manny here and let him know that we're working on it, so. There we go. Electronics are, well, electronics are complicated. Even when you break them down to their individual components, they can still be fairly complicated. Oh, you know what? I found out that, where is it? This is why I always keep spare parts, even if they're broken. Because check that out. That sits on there perfectly. Haha. Who'da thunk? It sits a little lower, and it's a lot more stable than and less janky than our roll of tape here. So, we're getting a little upgrade there, finally. And the reason, of course, why we put something under the HomePod instead of just simply working with the HomePod directly sitting on the desk like you see a lot of other people doing. If we were to sit it directly on the desk, as soon as we pull this mesh down, you can see at the bottom here, the mesh is going to start creasing against the table, and depending on how long it takes you to work on these and the environment you're working on them in, you can more or less very quickly and easily start to leave permanent indentations on your mesh, and of course get it dirty if your work environment is not perfectly clean. Of course, the white ones are going to pick up that table grime a lot more easily. But that's why we put something underneath the HomePod that's just the right size for the mesh to still not touch anything, not touch the table, but give us a nice solid base for working on it. It's a small little detail, but it will add to the overall, if you're doing this for yourself or as for other people. It's the little things that they appreciate like that. And it doesn't matter if the thing is in obviously poor condition. Doesn't mean you can treat it like crap or care less about getting it all dirty and stuff. Maybe they had a particular way that they wanted their thing there dirtied up. It was like the perfectly acceptable level of dirtiness, and you just set it over the edge for them. Now we have had some pretty nasty looking HomePods come in. Really just externally. Nothing ever manages to make it inside these. But externally, man, it makes you wonder where people are putting some of these. Like, one of them I swear looked like they used it in their barn. because it looked like it didn't smell or anything like that, but it really looked like it was just covered in bird crap. Not sure what was up with that. Maybe it was just like an artist's like paint studio HomePod or something, and they just don't care. That's what's wild to me, is like some people, this is an insignificant cost to them in the first place. And well, the HomePod that is in the first place. Like buying a few of these isn't a very significant cost to them. So what's it matter if they get it all dirty, banged up, and have to replace it every year or so? Or there's the ones that do break entirely on their own, and then people just absolutely, like, I swear they throw them across the room or something, and then they throw it up on eBay. Like it breaks with a totally repairable problem, and then they like lose their shit and just beat the crap out of it, and then they sell it on eBay for half as much as they could have gotten if they had just like tried taking care of it. And then you got those eBay sellers that don't know how to pack anything, let alone a $300 electronic. Like people seriously like chuck these things in an empty box just floating around on their own. Don't do this. Alright, so I need to roll back the driver on my multimeter so you guys can see it on the screen there. There we go. We'll set our port. It's probably on port COM8. Nice. And then we gotta go over to OBS and change that, and there we go. Now we've got a multimeter on our screen there, and it's connected to our test woofer, which is connected to our HomePod here. So let's get an idea and see if this is a good call or purely preventative. Anything more than 50 millivolts is what we consider enough to replace those filters. So let's see what we've got. Anything more than 50 millivolts. And it's actually looking... It looks fine now. We're only at 7 millivolts. And yes, it is growing, but it is growing way too slow for me to be really concerned with that. So it doesn't seem like there's really any room for improvement here, but we're gonna go ahead and tidy this up wrong words there. We're gonna go ahead and replace those components anyways. Ooh, this is nice. Now that it sits a little lower too, it's easier for my camera to hone in on it. I like that. You're excused. I don't know how this happens, but when I used to sell parts on eBay, I used to get an oddly high demand for replacement microphone boards. Because people would, I don't know how they do this, but these goofballs keep breaking off this little chip on the top of this mic board here when they're jamming their screwdriver around. And that little chip that they break off is it's the accelerometer. So without it, the HomePod is going to be very confused and think that you might be flipping it upside down. And it's going to give you all sorts of weird problems trying to turn back on. So just don't be a goofball and stab your microphone board with a screwdriver. I don't know why people do that. Here we are. Just doing a quick visual inspection of everything. Oh, we do have a Schottky diode on here with a date code of 1748K. So like I was talking about earlier with those diodes within a certain date range failing, you know, that bad batch of diodes, this one has one. So it's a good thing we got this here in a part. We'll go ahead and replace that diode while we're here because that will sooner than later fail and cause no power. Even though we got this here for a completely unrelated issue, we're going to knock that out after we do our filters first over here. Let's bring up, I need my full screen preview. There we go. All right. That baby's wiggling. She'll sleep through me with my music going at like max volume. Sounds like someone's taking a frickin' jackhammer to the walls. But she will not handle me talking while I stream my live stream repairs. If I'm not live streaming, she doesn't care. My voice doesn't wake her up. It's mom's voice that wakes her up. Wild child, I tell ya. Wife was playing The Sims, and she had this like family expansion pack or something. Lets you pick the style of baby that you want. And she picked intense in the description of the baby very aptly, and the behavior of the damn kid in the game just so perfectly matches little Chell there. Fresh solder on those pads. Nice, nice. Looks like Chell has gone back to sleep. Nice, nice. 4 new caps. Nice, nice, nice. And here we go. 1, 2. Oh. Nope. Yep, 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 yep. Nope, nope. Yeah. This is not necessarily a novice repair. I would definitely practice on parts boards or some kind of junk equipment before you do something like this your first time on your first HomePod if you're following along. Beautiful. I'd give it a good solid 8 out of 10. Let's get that diode replaced. Can't ignore that. One question I get asked a lot is, can you upgrade or replace this diode with a bigger, beefier version? Say, one rated for a higher amperage, like 60 volt 7 amp instead of the 60 volt 5 amp. Technically, yes, you can, with no negative impact. However, there's no real reason to, unless you can't get your hands on the original part or the suggested alternatives on my website under the common issues section for no power in this issue in particular. There's really no reason to, because the only reason this part ever fails is, well, itself. It was, like we were saying earlier, and hundreds if not thousands of times now, this part in particular only fails, or rather I should say, only a certain date range of these diodes are failing. So simply replacing the diode within that bad date range with an older, or ideally newer one, permanently solves this issue. Or prevents it. If you've got a HomePod apart and it's got 1746K or 1748K for a date code on that diode, even if it's working fine, replace it. Save yourself the future trouble. You're already in there. And we know those ones fail. If it does not have those date codes on it, you're good to ignore it. We've never seen a single one of those fail. So we've got fresh parts on this board. Let's put it back together enough to test it out. Okay, so again, all we are looking for is obviously that it still powers on. It has no problems playing the setup tone with our factory reset logic board here, and that our DC offset on the multimeter up on the screen there is less than 50 millivolts. Alright, so we are powering on. Very good. Whoa.
Your HomePod is about to reset.
No, don't
Keep
reset.
pressing until you hear 3 beeps.
You have no reason to reset. Okay. So looking at our offset here, it's looking fantastic, holding steady at around 5 millivolts. So this one is good to go. Let's finish putting it back together and we can move on to the next one. We'll start by screwing some screws, and then we'll screw a few more screws. And then last but not least, a couple more screws. Don't want to forget the ones for the amplifier, of course. Sure, only 2 or 3 in there would work, but we want a nice solid connection to each of those speakers underneath. And these screws are pretty much how they do it. Beautiful design, if you ask me. If it's not the most efficient or effective way to do it, it is a very elegant design, in my opinion. I am kind of sad to see in the second gen HomePod they went away with screwing the speakers into the amplifier like the first gen, and they use wires to connect the tweeters. Oh, and I've had a few people asking me when I will have my review out for the SingCell Alpha speaker. Still working on it. I'm waiting on 2 things really. One, I asked Sing a bunch of questions mainly around repairability, and I'm waiting to hear back from them on that before I make and publish my video on my review for that. 2, I got my hands on 2 more of them used, so now for a really good deal too. So now I've got 3 of them, which is what seems to be what they recommend for the ideal, like the peak kind of listening experience that they can offer for you. So I wanted to give them the best possible chance, and got a hold of 3 in total, and I will say the bass will just absolutely it'll obliterate you. It is an unwieldy amount of bass. If I want to sit right in the middle of all 3 of them, I would imagine more often than not I'll be finding myself turning the bass down 25 to 50% on them. Not that it's bad, it's just too much for everybody else. I wonder what the reason was for that change between Gen 1 and 2. I thought the screws were always a really interesting way to do that. Me too. I thought the reason why they even did it in the first gen was mainly for a simpler and cheaper design. But I guess if they changed it to using traditional wires like they do now in the second gen, that's probably not the case. So my only guess then is, of course, that they changed it for cost reasons, cost and manufacturing. Maybe it made it easier moving away from this. Maybe they had no. No, I was gonna say maybe they had too many techs fixing these and putting the amplifier in and like shorting the board out on the speaker terminals underneath, but then I remembered they don't repair these. So yeah. Never mind. Probably cost reasons. And another thing that I really liked about them using screws into the tweeters instead of the cables was I feel like it's a lot easier to manage internal vibrations without all the extra cables to deal with. But I guess the cheaper cost overall, even if they have to solve insulating those cables from that vibration, pans out to be less than screwing the amp directly into the tweeters still. So that's what we got now. And I've only got 2 of the second gen HomePods, and I haven't had any interest in buying any more of them. They, in my opinion, don't sound any better, and I kind of prefer the sound of the first gens more anyways. That's probably just my bias, but surprised to see how much value the first gens continue to hold. Good for me too, because if I can ever find the time, I can fix and flip them. But I don't really like to get into all that. I much rather do repairs, because that's it just feels like more ethical money to make than fixing and flipping. Not that there's anything unethical with buying something broken for the sole purpose of fixing it to resell it, but I don't know. Just my gut. Just how I feel. Yeah, I'll say the same thing that I said with the first gen. The second gen, obviously, they probably got the costs down, the cost of manufacture down enough to make it easier for them. But the HomePod, I don't think was ever the Apple never designed the HomePod or made the HomePod to make money off of the HomePod hardware. They made the HomePods to get people into their ecosystem, into their Apple Music. And it worked for me. Like, seriously, I never used Apple Music. Before HomePods, I didn't have an Apple TV. I didn't use Apple Music. Any of that. I got my first HomePod. I got bit. Best Buy accidentally sent me a second one. I got addicted. And it was just... Well, here we are with... I'm not going to disclose how many I have. But... I've got a bunch of HomePods. I got a couple minis. I got a couple minis at the office with a biggie HomePod at my office desk. I bought the first and second gen, the newer 4K Apple TV when that one came out. Bought the second gen Apple TV when the newer 4K one came out this year, really just because somebody was going to pay me to. They were basically going to buy the hardware for me to do it, and I did it, and I live streamed it, and they didn't. But to be fair, they did pay for my second gen HomePod just to have me do another live stream of a second teardown to take a closer look at it, so I can't be too upset. And I got the second gen Apple HomePod back together after we tore it down on that stream, so that's what I currently use now. So not too bad. I use it. Noticeable improvement in general navigation performance. Everything is a lot snappier on my newer Apple TV 4K versus the previous generation that was slightly thicker and had the active cooling fan on the bottom with the vents. Kind of surprised by that. I think that people still end up finding that they prefer the sound of the first gen more when they're doing direct side-by-side comparisons, because, simply put, even though they may have newer technology in the tweeter speakers, there are still fewer of them. So, there's just, I don't know, seems pretty simple to me. Fewer speakers inside of it, even if they're slightly newer and maybe technically better. We don't know that. Seems like it's completely up in the air whether people think they sound better or not. But I think that the older gen having more of them just simply translates to more people still preferring the first gen sound with a direct comparison. It seems like it's got just more raw power in the sound, which makes sense. There's more speakers, perhaps more volume, so you get, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not smart enough to give anybody a good answer on that. I think I'm smart enough, however, to have gotten this HomePod back together again. So let's check it out really quick. No screws left over. That's always a great sign. And
connecting to the internet. For more,
Very good.
I'm having trouble connecting.
And everything checks out. So Manny here is good to go. Let's grab our next repair here from the pile, completely random. This one's from Nicholas in Virginia. Let's pull up their email and see what we've got here. Probably no power. Yep, no longer power's on. Let's shoot them an email, let them know what's up now. And we'll put their name up and issue on the screen. Nick with a K. Nick with a K without power. Okay, here we go, folks. You guys know the drill by now. I'm going to start things off with a symptoms check with a known good power cable. We see nothing there, and we get 1 watt of power draw. So, looks like we're not getting any power draw, actually. Oh, got a little bit there for a sec. Maybe 1 watt got pulled. So I'm willing to bet not the typical diode issue, but probably a short on our logic board, or maybe physical damage. We've seen that happen before. Ooh, almost sliced my hand off. We've also seen that before. Come on. Come on. Ah. Nice. Oh, before we get any further, let's go ahead and pop in a known good logic board in display to see if our theory is correct. Oh, okay, it's still not turning on. Even with a known good logic board and display. Okay. The plot thickens. Do we still have a dead diode that just is pulling way less power than we normally see, or do we have, like, a new issue? Ooh. Is there something wrong with the power supply, maybe? Subwoofer smells alright. Our diode has a date code of 1726K, so it's most likely not the failure here. Let's go ahead and check before we bother pulling this amp out. Nope. That diode is still good, so I'm willing to bet. Oh. Yeah, it's probably this chip on the power supply here looks pretty beat up. We've seen that a few times. I can't remember if I've put this up on the website yet, but let's go ahead and grab a replacement power supply. See if this boots up. Oh, I forgot I brought this way closer to me. That's nice. Yeah, see here, look. Here's a good power supply, and here's the one that we just pulled out. If we look, you can see our IC here. You can actually see the lettering on it, versus this one. It's like kind of baked off. It's like kind of almost invisible. That's because that chip ran so hot. We've seen that chip on here fail a few times before and behave about just like this with that power draw on the kilowatt meter. So let me mark this. Let's put in a new power supply and see what happens. Of course, I could replace that chip on the power supply, but I've got so many of these sitting around right now that I'll just put that power supply to the side, and if I find myself needing more in the future, then I'll fix that one up. Otherwise, I'll just keep it around for parts or whatever. Oh. Still nothing. Let me grab my thermal camera. Oh, it's right here. Please don't be dead. Yes! Alright, let's actually power this back up and see if we notice anything. I don't see anything. I guess we are taking that amplifier out after all. I hope there's no surprises on the other side waiting for us. Not really seeing anything aside it's from it being a little dusty. Wow. I have no idea what's going on here. Just for kicks and giggles, I'll try one more power supply in case I got a bad one here. Ooh. We got power, but this power supply made a funny noise. So I'm gonna, I guess, try another one. Am I really having that much bad luck with the power supplies that I've been pulling for parts? Or is this amplifier killing power supplies? I'm a little worried for my working logic board here that we use for testing. So I'm going to swap it out for a bricked one just to sanity check that we don't have any weird and wild power issues that will cook a perfectly functioning logic board. Alright, power supply number 1, 2, 3, 4. No problems. Let's check with a good logic board. Okay. Their amplifier, their logic board, their display, replacement power supply. Yeah? Yeah. All right. We're looking good. Let's put this back together. I will be right back. Okay, I am be right back. Let's continue. Don't wake up my baby. Did we do it? Hey. So, power supply failure, and then subsequently 2 of our replacement power supplies also were bad. Hey, Apple Juice, welcome to the stream. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Nice to see a new name around here. They said, you make me want to try repair so badly. Can't wait to find one for cheap. Yeah, you can, if you're patient and lucky, and you're looking at the right time, at the right place, you can snag one of these for stupid cheap. As I mean, obviously, as next to free. I mean, even free if you find the right person. But you shouldn't be paying obviously more than $100 on the super high end for broken ones. But ideally, somewhere around $40 to $60 is a good fair price, or at least what used to be a good fair price. I don't know if it had anything to do with us putting all the repair info out there, but it seems on average they're more leaning towards $80 to $120, which I think is, I don't know. I mean, depends on how much you value your time and whether you can get it fixed or not. If you can, then it's a pretty good deal because you're fixing up a $200 or $300 speaker and you got it for less than $100. Anyways, Nick's got power, so we're good to go there. Let's move on to the next random one. Let's grab Peter from St. Paul. Peter's also has no power. So let's get their name up on the screen, open up their box, and see what's going on. Let me in! You can tell by the way that it hasn't been powered on in a while. Well, let's check our symptoms, see what we are dealing with here. Yep, definitely nothing there. And that's what we typically see, 4 to 6 watts of power draw, indicating a failure on the amplifier from that Schottky diode. Let's get this open and fix it up. No suspicious smells from the subwoofer tonight. We're in it. Get the fuck out of the way. Get out of here. Okay. Let's take a look at our Schottky diode. 1746K. Place your bets. Place your bets. Yeah. Uh-huh. She's dead, Jim. Show me the squish. Yeah, squish. Squish and slide. Do the squish and slide. Ooh, turn on the ventilator there. We don't want to breathe this. I don't care if you gotta listen to it. I don't want to breathe it. That should do it. Give me that bass. Give me that bass. Give me that bass. Bass, 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 bass. Excellent offset, good sounding bass, obviously no power issues, so good to go. Let's put the rest of the screws in this, and we've got one more to crank out tonight. YouTube tells me someone's watching my stream right now. Let me know in the chat if you're still there. Leave a like too if you don't feel like talking. Let me know you like our work. And as an added bonus, every like, not just on this live stream, but every video and live stream across my channel, is $1 towards Chel's college fund. So, super chats do not count. Super chats go in my pocket, not hers. Yeah, I knew you. Alright. Apple Juice is still here. I never trust YouTube's viewer counter because sometimes it says there's only 0 or 1 people watching, and then like 4 or 5 people randomly chat something like, what's the deal? What's the scoop? Hey, and just as soon as I say something, 2 more people appear to pop into the stream. Welcome, folks. Howdy. No. That looks good, actually. Yeesh. Alright, we sound nice and sealed, so we're ready to pop the rest of our parts on. And we're gonna fall asleep. Must fix. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I could do without. Come on, I'm burping at you. Come on. Baba booey. Let's get our last HomePod opened up here from Dehua. I believe is how you say that. Ooh. Alright. I was concerned at first that it felt like from the box that they shipped it in that they had shipped their HomePod just bouncing around in there. But they shipped it in this hard shell case, so no worries.
I'm having trouble connecting.
We all are. Looking good, sounding good, feeling good, having a good time. Who's this last one? Dehua? I'm not finding this person's name. Son. Alright, well, let's just get it fixed up first, and then we'll figure out whose it is later, because we are on a time crunch. I'm gonna guess this has got a no power issue. Okay. Yes, indeed. No response, no lights, no nothing at the top there. And yet we've got 4 to 6 watts of power draw at the wall. So likely another diode failure, causing this thing to no longer power on. Let's find out. Good smelling subwoofer. 1746K. We've got a dead diode. Easy one to wrap up the night. I'll take it. Beautiful. Let's put this together and it'll be all done for the night. there you have it, folks. We've got this HomePod powering up now, and with that, everything that showed up fixed up, and we're all caught up. If you're looking for more info doing your own repairs, reaching out to me, or looking for other people around the world doing the same thing, or maybe chipping in to help make the setup here a little better, check out the website, nixfix.com, where I've got most everything you'll be looking for. If not, feel free to shoot me a message or leave a comment down below. Hope you all enjoyed this live stream repair, and I'll